Shalom Akim Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakwadash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us His truth. A sincere shalom to the hopeful elect that's out there listening, learning, and or teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom. So yeah, Akim, I just thought I'd make a quick hit. I was just talking to the bros earlier. We were all reading Luke the 13th chapter, and we came across the 11th verse, and we kind of went into it. I'm gonna go ahead and read Luke 13:11. I'm gonna start at verse 10. It says, "And he, speaking of Yahushua, was teaching in one of the synagogues on a Sabbath. And behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity 18 years, and was bowed together, and could in no wise lift up herself." Right? So, you keep reading down, Yahushua causes her to be healed. Okay, but we looked into it, what she had was similar to something called ALS. Okay, so I want to look up ALS. It's called amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or Lou Gehrig's disease. Is a progressive neurodegenerative disease that destroys motor neurons in the brain and spinal cord, leading to fatal muscle paralysis and respiratory failure. Because when you go into it here, I'm going to read it again here. It says, "And behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity 18 years, and was bowed together," right? She was bowed together, meaning, all crunched up. You could think about this guy, Stephen Hawking, the guy with that little computer. They're talking about, "Hello, this is the quadratic equation." That guy that, ended up being on the Epstein files. But anyway, let's look it up real quick. Where's that word? Bowed together. G4794. Sunkupto. And it means to bend completely forward, to be bowed together, to stoop altogether, to be completely overcome by, bow together. Right? So she's bowed together and could in no wise lift up herself. Right? So, she's paraplegic, or close to it, right? So let's get back to that definition here. Symptoms begin with muscle weakness, twitching, and cramping, eventually spreading to impair speech, swallowing, and breathing. While the exact cause is often unknown, it often involves a mix of genetic and environmental factors. Most people are diagnosed between ages 40 to 70 with life expectancy, typically 3 to 5 years post symptoms, right? So it's a terrible illness, and basically, it's a spirit, because like we just read there, it was that spirit that was tormenting her for 18 years. Okay, and so you can imagine this guy brought up here, this guy had ALS. Okay, let's look it up here. Had ALS. Yes, Stephen Hawking was diagnosed with ALS. Okay, at age 21. You see? And yeah, it's a terrible condition, man. But basically bringing out terrible conditions and going into it, we got to talking and about how basically the Lord will punish the hell out of you, man. The Lord is nobody to be played with. Okay, y'all can remember that man that was born blind also. In one of the Gospels, it talks about this man who was born blind, and the people asked, "Well, was he born blind? Was it him that sinned, or his parents that sinned that caused him to be born blind?" Because it was always known that reincarnation was a thing. Okay, it's in the scriptures. That's a whole separate topic. I'm not gonna go into it, but y'all could search my channel. I made several videos on reincarnation. That's biblical. Okay, and so, you fear the Lord because the Lord, after this body dies, your spirit goes back to the Father, and then He's gonna send you back into another body. Okay, and if you if you are wicked, or you think that you're gonna get away from the Lord's judgment, no, your judgment is gonna be in that next life. And that's why you got people like this man Stephen Hawking, who was born like that. And people want to say, well, we have no evidence that he was evil in his past life. Well, just look at him in this current life, man. He was at that Epstein Island, bro. Now he probably couldn't do much, but he was there partaking. Okay, so clearly the spirit that's in this guy has not changed. And so the Lord made him fucked up for a reason. And then he's gonna come back in the next life fucked up again if he is to reincarnate. Probably not, because we're at the end, man. Yahweh Shai is getting ready to come back. So, he is gonna reincarnate, just not on this side, meaning after the kingdom is established, he's gonna be reincarnated, and he's going into hardcore slavery, man. So, that's that. But, just showing you that the Lord's judgment, okay, is nothing to be played with, man. All right, and there was many others, athletes. There was athletes that I forgot the name, but the brothers were going into it earlier. But y'all could look up athletes with ALS, okay, but not to look up too much. Former NFL players. This guy. You have Peter Frates. This guy Steve Gleason. You see, from the NFL to ALS. That's a terrible fall, man. Okay, but the point of me bringing it out, man, is to show you that we must fear the Lord, man. Okay, because people of this world think hell is a place underground that you burn forever. No, hell is two things. It's the grave, and it's also a condition. Okay, these two different meanings. Okay, and none of it has to do with the Greco-Roman mythology of the underworld and Hades and going underground and burning. That doesn't make any sense. That's not in the scriptures. That's part of these the way of the heathen that we tell you don't follow the way of the heathen, man. And part of following them is believing in their myths and fables. Okay, hell is a fable. It's not real. So let's go into Matthew 10 and 28. It says, "And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul." Right? Esau could come into my house, break the door down, and put me to death for making these videos. Okay, Esau could do it. 2/3 Jake could rob you in the street, beat you up with a glass bottle, tie you up, run you over, use their blicky and shoot you down, whatever. Okay, you could die any number of ways at the hands of any man here on this earth. But okay, that's it. They can only hurt you in this life. They can't do anything to you in the next life. They don't know what body your spirit is going into. Okay, but the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai knows, because he's the one who's gonna call that spirit up. Okay, here, let's get this precept before I continue in Ecclesiastes, where it talks about back to him that gave it. Ecclesiastes 12 and 7, it says, "Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto the Most High who gave it." So when you die, you don't go to heaven or hell, you go to the Father. See, so right there it proves it, just reading Ecclesiastes 12 and 7, that hell is nothing but a fable, right? Yeah, it's in the scriptures, but it's not. It doesn't mean what you've been told it means. Okay, that's pretty much it on that. Ecclesiastes 12 and 7, going into how the spirit gets called back to the Father, man. And why? Because after you go to the Father, okay, then the Lord will send you back to the earth. Okay, like it says, after death shall the judgment come. Let's get that. Second Ezra 14:35. Because see, you'll read this in, I believe it's in Hebrews. It says it's a mirror precept that says, after death is the judgment. It's appointed for man to live once and then the judgment, right? Because you live once before each judgment. That's what it means. Okay, the Lord's not gonna let you live 3 different lives and then judge you. No, He's gonna judge you after each life. Okay, this is Second Ezra 14:35. For after death shall the judgment come. All right, and what is the judgment? When we shall live again. Okay, so when you live again. So you don't live once. YOLO is not real. You only live once. No, you live many times, man. And the same spirits come back. All right, and they come back into their lot. So whatever you were doing in your past life, you were doing now. All right, those of us that are preaching and teaching this truth, we were doing that in our past lives. We were prophets and teachers in our past lives. All right, those of you out here being niggas and spicks and bullshitters, y'all was doing that same bullshit in the past lives. Okay, unless you repent, because again, hey, we all were in the world at one point, but you'll see at the end who was who. Okay, but nevertheless, getting back into it. It says, when we shall live again, and then shall the names of the righteous be manifest, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared. Right? Because that's when okay, like a great example what we see with these guys here, man. Okay, especially the guy that was born all fucked up. Okay, now of course, in the biblical example of the guy that was born blind, it wasn't from his past life. It was because the Lord wanted to show His power. Okay, but that's a one-off example. Okay, the typical person that's born fucked up is because they did something in their past life. Okay, so this right here is a declaration of what? Like it says here, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared. Right, it's declared that this guy was a demonic piece of shit, and you see why, man. Who knows what shit he was doing in his past life when he had the ability to walk? Who knows? Okay, the Lord knows, and that's why the Lord said, nah, motherfucker, you ain't gonna be allowed to do that. And then even with that, he was over there in those files, probably eating children, graping them with his one finger that barely works. You see? So there you go. All right, so reincarnation is biblical. Now going back into Matthew's 10 and 28, and fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul. Right, they can't do anything to your soul. Your soul is going to go into the next, it's going to go up to Yahweh. Okay, but rather fear Him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. That's right. Now let's get the word hell in the Greek. The word hell in the Greek, G1067, Gehenna. Okay? It says hell is the place of future punishment, called Gehenna or Gehenna of fire. This was originally the valley of Hinnom, south of Jerusalem, where the filth of dead animals of the city were cast out and burned, a fit symbol of the wicked and their future destruction. There you go. Okay, it's a symbol of their future destruction. It's not talking about the underworld. Okay, because there was a Gehenna was a giant trash dump where bodies were burned. Okay, and it's symbolic of, okay, this is you're gonna be incinerated, you're gonna be destroyed. Okay, future destruction, because those souls that were wicked during that time, where the Lord was talking about destroying soul and body in hell. Them souls that were wicked at that time, they're gonna be wicked now. And what's getting ready to happen now, when the chip is mandated and all these prophecies come to pass, is America is going to be destroyed in the thermonuclear destruction in World War III. All right, it's going to be a giant inferno here from sea to shining sea. All right, a giant version of this Gehenna. Okay, All right. And what's that an example of? Destroying your body and your soul in hell. Punishment, right? Here, now, this definition is going off, but we're going to read it nevertheless. It says, as a name or place, as a name for the place or state of everlasting punishment, hell. So when you think of everlasting punishment, okay, you think of something that's really bad and it's terrible and it lasts a long time. All right, it's not literally saying eternal forever, okay, because there's many examples in the scriptures that talks about this happened forever, that happened forever, and it's not literally meaning forever. It's just a figure of speech. It's like, oh, I went to McDonald's and the line was so long, it was endless, and I was in line forever. You know, people say shit like that. Doesn't mean literally, okay? But anyway, getting back into it, man, I wanted to bring this out because, you know, it's important to know that. So we got hell there as being Gehenna. Okay, now you'll hear hell in the Old Testament as well. Okay, I have an example for that because hell is really a condition. Okay, judgment being part of that. Like right now, we're in hell. Us Israelites, us so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, we're in our hell. You know, what did we do to deserve it? We were worshiping idols in our past life. Salakia, had a damn hiccup. But like I said, we was worshiping idols in our past lives. We was living like the heathen. So the Lord put us into these bodies where our fate was to serve slavery to Esau. Okay, and it still is. We're still serving captivity this day. Okay, not chattel slavery, but still bad. All right, still being oppressed and poisoned, taken advantage of, spoiled, robbed, raped, murdered, all that. Okay, so you know who did that? Ultimately, Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. So see, in the past, our people would make all types of excuses to follow these idols. They would say, oh, well, these idols give us rain on time and then we're able to eat and we don't have to die. And, oh, if we worship these idols from the heathen will, you know, we'll be able to make covenants with them. And, you know, if we make covenants with the heathens, then, you know, it will be all right, you know, and also it'll keep them from killing us. You know, during the time of the Maccabees, you had wicked Jakes who were talking about, oh, well, you know, we should go make a covenant with the heathen. It's like selling out because they're afraid of what's going to happen in this life. Motherfucker, don't you know the Lord will kill you in this life and bring you back with autism or with ALS or with cancer into the next life? Or the Lord could bring you into the next life and you get aborted and then bring you into another life getting aborted. You could just be getting aborted 20 times in a fucking row. You see? This is why you gotta fear the Lord, man. The Lord is not nobody to be fucked with, man. Okay, you people out here in this world, you fear all the wrong things, man. That's why we tell you to fear the Lord. There is one wise and greatly to be feared, man. Okay? Look at this. Let's get this real quick. Lord's will. This is Sirach 1 and 8. There is one wise and greatly to be feared, the Lord sitting upon his throne. Okay? So now you're starting to get a glimpse, those of you that don't know. Hey, the Lord is powerful beyond measure, man. You know, getting shot, getting, you know, chopped up, even crucified, you know, that was a terrible torture method. Okay? Not making light of that. You know, torture, killed, anything in one life is nothing. Okay, the Lord can make that happen over and over again, man. Like one of those horror movies where you wake up and live the same day over and over again. The Lord could literally do that, man. And I'm hammering the point to show Jake, because Jake is hard-headed. So Jake got a hard head, so we got to keep hammering so you could get it. But anyway, getting back to it, man. You know, yeah, sorrow's a condition. So this is Psalms 18 and 5. The sorrows of hell compass me about. See, the sorrows of hell, right? Does that mean he went to hell? No. He was suffering like hell. That's how you would say it in today's English. suffering like hell. The sorrows of hell compassed me about. The snares of death prevented me. Right, showing you, what the writer was going through. King David. King David was going through hell at the time. You could read this whole chapter and get into it. Okay. This is Sirach 30 and verse 16. It says, there is no riches above a sound body. Right. Health is wealth. Okay. You've heard that said before. It's in the scriptures. You know how health is above all riches. Right. There is no riches above a sound body, and no joy above the joy of the heart, which is the mind. Verse 17, death is better than a bitter life or continual sickness. That's right, and that's what these different people like this are going through, man. You don't want to end up like that, Jake. There's Jakes that are like this, man. They're just not world famous physicists, so you're not all over the news and everybody doesn't know you. Jakes that are living this type of life are locked away in their house and nobody sees them, but they're out there, man. Okay, so let this be a lesson to fear the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Awashai. Okay, because the Lord could do this to you, man. Okay, and he is going to do this to you. The scriptures talks about death by pain. For wicked Israelites, that's what that thermonuclear destruction of America is, man. And when them bombs are coming down, you think it's going to be a quick, painless death. Hey, don't underestimate the Lord, man. The Lord is far out. He could make your spirit stay in that burnt to a crisp body, and you suffer longer than is perceived to be possible. Okay, so this is why we must fear Yahweh Ba'ashem Awashai. Okay, this is one of the reasons. I'm going to read it again. Death is better than a bitter life or continual sickness, right? Death is better than living like this. So, going back full circle to Matt 10 and 28, fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul. It kills the soul because living a life that's continually sick or with, being paraplegic, that's worse than death. That soul is now destroyed. You're in hell. The condition, the sorrows of hell compass you about. You see? But rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. You see? But yeah, that's it, Akim. With that, I want to finish by giving all glory, honor, and praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakodash, double honor unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us the truth. A sincere shalom to the hopeful like this out there, listening, learning, and or teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom wa. Abba, Abba, Shalom.